Welcome, Reefer, to another episode of my Reef Tank Talk. Today is January 1st, so it's kind of a thought for the new year. I definitely have to make a little update how it looks here in my fish room, about the big system, a little bit about the Nano, but the big portion of it is my large tank. So maybe you followed, I think it's already probably episode 15 or something like this, the journey of that fish tank here. So January 1st, 2024 is today. And I feel like I was setting that fish tank up somewhere in summer of 2022, if I'm not wrong, or 2021 actually, because it's probably now 2.5-ish years old. And I think I get slowly to a limit here. So it's pretty full, and I definitely have to make a drastic cut back on a lot of corals because I'm just running out of room, and also it uses a ton of that All for Reef alkalinity powder to keep the growth up, because the corals would obviously not grow just by pure water chemistry. To keep it up, you always have to add that calcium and alkalinity and just everything that goes inside to be able to give your corals that skeleton. And kind of, especially here, the larger ones, I just definitely have to get rid of some of them. So yeah, I just wanted to document that I can look into later, because I have a feeling that the tank will never look actually better. So even if I cut back probably the first couple of weeks, then it would look a little bit, just kind of like you would cut back a wood. First it looks a little bit pale before the corals grow back. But one thing I definitely want to cut back are all the corals which are maybe let's say the kind of cheaper ones, or the Montipora corals, or also Anacropora corals. So when you look at that big chunk of green goblin Anacropora, that one pretty much has to go, more or less, as well as that big piece here. We'll definitely cut that one back, and also a lot of what I have here on the side. So the idea is actually that since I now was able to grow out the tank so nicely, that I focus more on the little bit more exotic, more expensive corals, the ones here on top, these Acroporas, or maybe also that Millipora here, and just kind of give them a little bit more room to grow. So yeah, it's definitely here that whole left side. It even grows here all the way back to the back of the tank. I think we can see that here. The Montipora already grew on the back panel here. So that whole thing more or less has to go. So I just break that out. That's, by the way, not rock. So when you see here, that's actually all a big piece of coral. And that one has to go just to give a little bit, again, more space to the other things, and also just to kind of little bit avoid that tank is not absorbing so much All for Reef. You maybe followed my little journey here, and you saw that I actually exclusively dose Tropic Marine All for Reef. I have that here in that little square tank with the orange lid there in the back. And the tank consumes, so it doesn't really matter how big your tank is, it matters how much corals you have inside and how much they absorb of that solution. And in my case, at the moment, I'm dosing 160 milliliters of solution per day. So that's definitely quite a lot, and it gets a little bit kind of expensive. So I pay maybe 60 or 70 bucks, which is that big container for 10 liters of solution. And that lasts me maybe around 3 months. So it's kind of $20 per month, but if I can avoid spending $20 per month, I definitely like to look into that. Because in the end, there's also at one point just kind of no space anymore. And I have to just start cutting back somewhere. A nice thing, I think, which I think it's pretty cool here, I don't know if you see, that's kind of tenuous millipora or whatever that one is there. So much growth. Like, I feel like at the moment I can just put whatever I want into the tank and it just grows like crazy. There's really not a big secret behind that tank. It's just kind of, at one point I feel like everything is balancing itself out and things just go usually pretty good when you keep up with your maintenance. So I spend maybe around 1 or 2 hours at least per week to clean the whole system. Otherwise it wouldn't look that pristine. That's one for sure. Another thing I did was actually I took my Reef Wave 45 here, because usually I had them more kind of in that area here on top. So I put them more or less halfway into the tank, just to make sure I get also a little bit more flow on the bottom of the tank, because I had on the side here, especially here on the back, I had I still have quite a lot of detritus there laying around, so I hope that agitates the water a little bit to help with the flow. Especially also because I have so many corals inside, these two Reef Waves, even they run on 100% power. It's just kind of barely enough. I would need a little bit more, but on the other side I really would hate to spend any more money and put more power heads inside that tank. So I just kind of try to ride it out the way it is at the moment. Because apparently, when you look at the growth and everything, I mean, it grew to such a size, so that's why I think there was not much wrong with it. I definitely also want to start frag here my candy cane coral, that one here. So many heads. I bought that, I think it was probably 1 or 2 years ago at the frog swap with just one head, and now these are probably 80 to 100 heads on that one, which I can cut off and just put in my little frag tank underneath. By the way, talking about the frag tank, it's doing okay. I definitely get a lot of algae grow down here. So there's just kind of all kinds of stuff growing down here, and I don't really want to put any snails or something down here, because I don't want that they go then at one point get stuck in the pumps or something like this. But even when you look at the skimmer, it really pulls stuff out of here. So that guy is nasty. Even I just cleaned that a little bit ago. So it's the combination of that reef mat and that skimmer who is doing actually all the filtration. That guy here, that little pipe, which creates a little bit flow, that's only the return from my UV sterilizer I have on that side here. Yeah, just UV sterilizer, filter mat, skimmer. Nothing too crazy. There's so many gadgets you can buy these days, but I think most of the time you actually don't even really need those things. Yeah, my little frag tank, I grow here frags, and if you guys are local around, I always give them away, sell them, trade them, whatever. It's just kind of fun getting in touch with some other people and kind of, yeah, if you can give them a frag for a good price or something like this, or trade it with them, it's definitely better than always having to order for a crazy amount of price little frags. Yeah. Also the lights, maybe just a little word to that one. 3 Reflex 160S, so they all have 150 watts of blue light and 10 watts of white light. So it's a total of 450 watts of blue light, the output, and the spread is very nice for that one. So with these 3 lights I definitely, it was already working good with 2 lights, but with 3 lights, I think a lot of stuff which didn't grow before, like even some of these green acros there, all the way on the stem of that millipora. It just didn't really grow because it didn't got enough light, but with 3 of them, that's definitely plenty of light. And I don't have to go to a kind of T5 option or something like this. Then what actually doesn't really work that well is my little tank here, my little nano tank. Maybe you followed me also on that one. The idea here is actually to have my 2 clowns hosting an anemone. And the problem is the big rock here inside. I just get so much algae. And I kind of would know some ways to kind of try to reduce it. I get it, have to try to feed less, more water changes, all kinds of stuff. So there's definitely ways to do it, but at the moment I was also a little bit on the lazier side, so I didn't really do a lot of work. But the clowns like it. The anemone here still looks kind of healthy and normal, so I just tried it out. And the other thing with these little clowns is they actually produce at the moment almost bi-weekly eggs. So here on the back, you probably don't see that, on the back of that rock here, they actually laid a lot of eggs. So they are pretty guarding here. So every time I go here with my finger, they try to attack me because they try to protect their little eggs. And what they need to survive the eggs is then rotifiers. So that's why in that little bucket here, I try to grow rotifiers, which are then the food for the larva that comes out, these small baby fish, so that I can feed them. But yeah, it's not completely flushed out. I maybe should do a little bit more research on how to really do that. But the problem is the baby fish, once they leave the egg, they cannot eat regular fish food. So they need these rotifiers. So these are very, very small invertebrates, and I try to grow them in that little bucket there on the sides. The little device on top here, it's just the air pump, because it needs still agitation inside, and there's also a little heater inside that keeps the water warm. But I think I make then another video to talk more about that one. It's still a good tank, and especially since I already had the tank, I already had the fish, I even had the rock. It was laying around in the garage, so I just put that here inside. It's nice, but I can tell you 2 tanks is definitely more than just 1 tank when it comes back to maintenance. And sometimes it's even already hard to keep up with 1. But it just shows that you can have a tank here that looks literally, I mean, if I go here, show some of the rock work a little bit closer. Actually, you barely see rock because there's so much coral here. There's literally 0 algae in that tank. And in that one, it's algae paradise. And you see, like, sometimes it just kind of works out. You have to be patient. Don't change too many things at the time. So that's why I also don't go for the little Max Nano here with crazy chemicals and all kinds of stuff to try to have a quick win here. I just kind of leave it inside, try to feed it a little bit less. I can obviously, since I have now the anemone inside, not really get rid of the light, because that would also help obviously with the growth of the algae. But yeah, I'm not too concerned. It just looks very, very a little bit unfortunate here with all that green algae. Other than if you're an algae fan, then it's maybe your favorite tank. But I definitely like it without the algae. Yeah. Back to that tank. Again, as I said, the last time you guys now see the tank live in a video here, because in a couple days or a week or something like this, I definitely start cutting back here a lot of things. I already contacted some of you guys here, people I know from the YouTube channel or people I know from my Instagram channel. I contact a couple people. They will then come probably with whole buckets to pick some of these frags up, or it's actually colonies up. I just have to get rid of them, and if I can help somebody else and they can have fun and enjoy these corals, I'd rather give it away rather than obviously trash them all or something like this. Because sometimes I actually not even have enough space here in the frag tank. I have to just throw some pieces away, but if I can give that to somebody else who can enjoy it in the hobby, even better. Okay, I didn't want to let the tank and the growth go here without making the last final video here. Look how big that acro is. Crazy stuff, yeah. No, I have to trim back a lot, but that was the last video with the tank fully grown out. Next time, hopefully you see a very nice cut back. It's almost like a tank would get a haircut or something like this. You see a nice haircutted tank. And if you have any questions, like you sometimes have, which you then ask me here on YouTube or also on my Instagram channel, feel free to reach out. I was in the last couple of weeks a little bit occupied with a lot of work and stuff like this, but I always try to catch up as soon as I can. If you want to see more of the baby fish, check in again. It's kind of my next goal to make that happen, to grow little baby storm clownfish. So you guys maybe saw that. These are not regular clownfish. They have actually a black and white pattern, which is a little bit more rare. Usually the very common clownfish are the white and orange one. Black and white storm, like a stormtrooper from Star Wars or from wherever these guys are. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. Enjoy your new year, 2024. I hope a lot of successes for you in the fish hobby and also otherwise, and let me know if I can help you with something. Please feel free to reach out and have a good start into the new year.